morning, Captain Whitaker.
Here's your manifest with 102 souls on board.
Let's get them tucked in. We're ready to push.
I wrote the first 40 pages of the script in 1999 and put it down because I figured it would never get made. And it was kind of born out of what I like to call like my two greatest fears, which were drinking myself to death and dying in a plane crash. And you know, it obviously is a story of recovery as much as it's a story of the value of the truth. And you know, it was a morality play, and it kind of kept evolving over the 10 years that I worked on it.
We are in a dive.
I have no control on my side.
We going down?
Everybody embrace positions. We're gonna roll it.
What do you mean, roll it?
Ready? Here we go.
I was on a plane that took off from San Francisco and went to Los Angeles, and I remember thinking I paid $49 for this ticket or something, and there was like a really crowded airport, and there was like 100 seats, and there was like 150 people trying to get on this plane, and I was on the tarmac. The first 15 minutes of that flight were the worst I've ever been. I mean, people were howling. And then, of course, it breaks into beautiful skies, and we fly the last 35 minutes, like no problem. But I think that was probably in my mind at the time.
This is Hugh Lang. He's an attorney from Chicago. Why do we need a lawyer?
You don't remember having your blood drawn the night of the crash? You had alcohol in your system. That could be life in prison.
I think the expression that kept coming up for me in my mind was, you know, there's no atheist in a foxhole. And I've often thought that I'm not really sure what I believe in when it comes to God sometimes, but when I'm on a plane that's pitching really severely, I find myself reaching for something. So I think that the question about like the self-definition of Whip as a character through the story, you know, it's interesting. I think that was the journey. I think that was probably why it took me so long to finish the script, because I didn't really kind of know what the end was. I mean, I didn't have an end point in mind as far as like realizing that he would come to that conclusion and reveal it in the way that he did in the movie. It was never like the end point as I started.
God would do this.
Our investigators concluded the aircraft failed.
The FAA placed 10 pilots in simulators, recreated the events. Every pilot killed everybody on board. You were the only one who could do it.
I don't know a lot of people who jump up and down about getting on a plane and think it's awesome, but Bob is a pilot and has planes, and he kept saying to me, like, oh, I'm going to take you up in my Cirrus, man, it'll be great. It's like, that hasn't happened. But I had to fly with him to locations, you know, and he constantly wanted to work on the plane. So we'd be sitting on a plane, he'd be like, all right, in this sequence, you know, what's going to happen is Whip, it's like, and we're in the storm, and I'm like on the plane, like, sweating, you know, trying to focus, trying to do the job.